I'd always been what some might call an overachiever. I push myself to be the best, and people know it. I'm on the honor roll, head of the yearbook club, main author of the school's paper, the Hedgehog Daily, and captain of the Mathletes club. I've led them to victory 3 years in a row, but hey, who's counting? College administrators. That's who. I've never been one to play sports, but since it looks good on an application, I'm on the girls' tennis team. Reaching a goal is my ultimate self-esteem boost, and I never let anything stand in my way. But even when I'm on cloud 9, there's one thing always ready to bring me back down. And his name is Ji-hoon Park. I had my head down, deep in thought about my weekly agenda, when an algebra book slammed onto the desk right in front of my face. Hey little Miss Daydream. I clutched my heart and took a deep breath before looking up at the idiotic smirk on Ji-hoon's face. I sent him a death glare. That's funny for someone taking Algebra 1 as a junior, I said, smiling sweetly. I picked up his book and shoved it into his chest. His jaw clenched and his eyes sent me daggers, knowing he had failed twice whereas I passed before I even got to high school. His raging expression suddenly dulled into a chuckle. Feisty little teacher's pet, huh? He asked with a devilish grin. He leaned down close. I like him feisty. The bell rang, and he made his way to his seat. I hate him. The need to be number one was a trait I acquired from my father. He's a great lawyer and always told me that if I wanted to make something of myself, I needed to claw my way to the top. Golden words I've abided by since I was 7. Just me and him, sharing a constant hunger for winning. I swore I would never let my dad down, but Ji-hoon made that hard. He knew exactly how to push my buttons and found pure amusement in making my life a living hell. I walked out of class with my notebooks held tightly in my arms, dodging crowds of kids. I fumbled with my lock, put away my French book, and grabbed my physics binder. But before I could, my locker slammed shut, almost catching my fingers in the door. I gasped and jerked backward. Ji-hoon was standing there, smiling cheekily. Hey Minji. How's it going? Move, I said sharply. And don't call me that. I reopened my locker, grabbed my binder, and walked away. Minji, wait. Hold on, he yelled, his voice getting closer. I continued to walk straight forward, pretending not to hear him, feeling my face get red. What? I yelled, spinning around. He was getting on my last nerve. I want to talk to you about something. He actually seemed serious. I don't have time for whatever unintelligent thing may come out of your mouth, I snapped, turning to leave. But a hand grabbed my shoulder and stopped me. I need your help, Minji, he said with a serious expression. Meet me in the parking lot after school. And with that, he walked away without any explanation. Quite frankly, I wasn't sure what was worse, the fact that a part of me didn't want to help him, or the fact that a part of me did. I sat in my last class of the day, staring at the clock. 5 more minutes. I had butterflies in my stomach, and it was a terrible feeling. What could he possibly want from me? Ji-hoon usually feeds off my anger, and though I always try to be the bigger person and keep calm, he knows exactly how to push my buttons. The bell rang, snapping me out of my thoughts. This was it. I shoved my folders into my backpack, threw it over my shoulder, and joined the crowd rushing out the door. I made my way out to my little black car in the parking lot, deciding to sit inside until the traffic cleared. Minji, wait! I heard his voice behind me. I scowled, but remembering he needed something, I straightened up and turned around. Now what do you want before I leave? Can we go somewhere and talk? He looked around nervously, almost embarrassed to be seen with me. I don't want to do it here. There's no way I'm going anywhere with you, I snapped, wondering why I even showed up. Please, just hear me out. If you don't want anything to do with it, I won't ask you again. I crossed my arms. Fine, but this better be quick. I have to study for my pre-calc test. Not that you would know anything about studying. Get in, I said, annoyed. He climbed into the passenger seat and buckled up, grinning at me. Why am I doing this? I'd been driving for a good 10 minutes in almost complete silence. Everything Ji-hoon did made me clench my jaw, tightening my grip on the steering wheel until my knuckles were white. I could never put my finger on why he bothered me so much. Ji-hoon? I asked, instantly regretting it. Yeah? Never mind, I said quickly, watching the road. No, tell me. You can talk to me, he said reassuringly. He'd never spoken to me like that before, and for some reason, it made me mad. Where are we going anyway? He asked after a moment, holding back a smile. The library, I answered. He let out a low chuckle. You're such a nerd. Well, you're an imbecile, I said defensively. I pulled into the library lot, turned off the car, and walked inside with Ji-hoon trailing a few feet behind me. I greeted Sujin, the lady at the front counter, and headed to an empty table. Why am I here? I asked, annoyed. I have a proposition, he stated, his smirk dropping. Remember earlier today when you mentioned I was still in algebra? Well, I want to pass. And I need your help. I stared at him. You can't be serious. How does this benefit me? There's no way I'd ever help you out of the kindness of my heart. Well, little doll face, this is where I come in. He gave me that same devilish smirk he always does, but this one was different. It actually made me blush. I cleared my throat to hide my red face, but it was too late. Ah. Did I make the little princess blush? He teased cheekily. And no, I stammered, hating how shaky my voice sounded. Oh, but I believe I did, he whispered. His tone shifted, it was dark, almost seductive. He stood up and slowly strolled over to my side of the table. I stayed still as a statue, my heart pounding loudly in my ears. He leaned directly behind my chair, his head right next to mine. If you do this, I'll do anything you want me to, he whispered into my ear, his hot breath sending shivers down my spine. I pulled away, trying to reassure myself more than him. No. I don't need anything from you. I just want you to stop bugging me so much. He was taken aback by my answer. Needing some fresh air, I got up and walked out to the car, assuming he'd follow. We both got back in. I'm free Mondays, Tuesdays, and Fridays from 3:30 to 5 o'clock, so we can study then, I stated blankly. The ride back to school was dead silent. I quickly scribbled my address on a piece of paper, handed it to him, and headed home. That night, I couldn't focus on anything. I just couldn't stop thinking about Ji-hoon. It was a perfect Friday afternoon in the middle of October. Ji-hoon and I had just finished school and were heading to my house to study. I opened the double doors to my beige house, dropped my backpack on the couch, and headed to the kitchen. We had been tutoring for 3 weeks now, and it had become a ritual to grab a snack first. Ji-hoon had held up his end of the bargain by leaving me alone at school. It was peaceful, almost too peaceful. I almost missed his snide comments. Almost. Minji, he mumbled, raiding my fridge. You have like no food. It's such a nice day out, can't we just go get an ice cream and skip tutoring? I don't know. You have that test coming up next week and you need to pass, I said, tossing my magazine onto the counter. Come on, it's Friday, and it's gorgeous out. What are the chances of us getting another day like this until spring? He pleaded. I groaned and gave in. Fine. But let me get changed first. I'm not going out in this heat in jeans and a sweater. I ran upstairs, quickly changed into red jean shorts and a gray Avengers tee, and met him back in the kitchen. Better? He asked mockingly. I glared at him and stuck my tongue out as we walked out to the car. Wow, I can't believe you, he laughed. You changed out of dork clothes and into more dork clothes. I rolled my eyes, but secretly, I was smiling. That was the Ji-hoon I knew. Oh my god, Minji, hurry the hell up. You're holding up a line. Ji-hoon complained at the park's little ice cream stand. There's just so many flavors. He facepalmed, though a small chuckle escaped his mouth. She'll have the cotton candy, he told the guy, handing over a $5 bill. He grabbed the cones and dragged me away. Ji-hoon. Maybe I didn't want cotton candy. I yelled, shuffling to keep up with his large strides. Can I at least have my ice cream? he handed me the blue cone. Lighten up, grumpy pants. I am not grumpy. I am perfectly calm, I exclaimed, shooting daggers at the back of his head. He just let out a huge burst of laughter. Listen, short stacks, you just gotta chill out, kick back your heels, and take some time off from life. Come here. He led me to a park bench under a beautiful willow tree. Now, close your eyes and breathe in. Picture the waves crashing onto warm sand. I did as I was told, a small smile tugging at my lips. I would have never thought the only person who could make me feel relaxed was the person who usually made me so tense. I opened my eyes to see Ji-hoon sitting close to me, very close. I never realized how green your eyes were, he said softly, staring intensely into mine. I cleared my throat, glancing down. You're dripping. Pink ice cream was melting right onto his khaki shorts. Oh shit, he muttered, standing up quickly to wipe it off. I burst out into full-blown, ugly laughing. It's not funny, he complained, obviously annoyed. You just gotta chill out, I teased, mimicking his words. I took a lick of my blue cone, genuinely enjoying the moment with him. Then, someone interrupted. Dude, what are you doing here with her? We turned our heads to see Minji, one of Ji-hoon's friends from the lacrosse team. He was at the top of the school's social pyramid, and I was firmly at the bottom. Ji-hoon stuttered, looking conflicted as he stole a glance at me. I was just getting some ice cream, and I ran into Minji. Minji looked at me with utter disgust. Yeah, okay. Let's just get out of here before this loser actually thinks she's worth something. I shifted uncomfortably on the bench. I can't, Ji-hoon said quickly, his voice cautious. Why the hell not, Ji-hoon? You'd rather stay here with the pathetic, little bitch? Minji spat, making sure I felt the sting of every syllable. Before I could even register how red Ji-hoon's face had gotten, his fist swung out. With one swift punch, Minji was on the ground clutching his nose. I gasped, but Ji-hoon grabbed my arm tightly and pulled me out of the park. Ow! Ji-hoon, let go, you're hurting me. He finally released his grip, his face softening when he saw my red arm. I am sorry, Minji. Once we got back to my house, I confronted him in the living room. What the hell was that? Why did you get so defensive? If it was any given day at school, you probably would have joined him and you know it. Ji-hoon remained silent, looking down at the carpet with rage. I'm sorry, Minji. I have to go. He grabbed his backpack, rushed out the door, and backed out of the driveway before I could say another word. Way to go, Phillips, I muttered to myself. You did it again. Honey, wake up. This is the big day. I blinked my eyes open to see my father standing over me. It was 6 o'clock sharp, the day of the student body president election. I ran downstairs, handed him my colorful note cards, and asked him to review my speech. I picked out a gray pencil skirt and a blue ruffled top, did my hair in smooth waves, applied some mascara and lipstick, and felt completely ready. My dad snapped his briefcase shut and smiled warmly. Your speech is perfect, just like I expected. You're going to do great, princess. I walked into school confident that morning, ready to win. But my smile dropped immediately when I saw Ji-hoon walking down the hall. He hadn't talked to me in a week, skipped our tutoring sessions, and ignored my calls. He looked right past me, his face unreadable. I'd had enough. I hurried after him, catching up despite my heels. Ji-hoon, seriously, what's going on? I asked, grabbing his arm. Nothing. Just leave me alone, he snapped, yanking his arm away. Hurt and angry, I took a deep breath and headed to the auditorium to give my speech. Please welcome our first candidate, Minji Kim. Principal Jenkins announced into the screeching microphone. I took a deep breath, plastered a smile on my face, and walked on stage. Good morning, everyone. I'm Minji Kim and I'm running to be your student body president. I was suddenly cut off by subtle laughter and snickers from the audience. My face turned red. I turned around to look at the projector screen behind me, and my heart shattered. Someone had photoshopped my face onto a golden retriever's body, and above it read, "Vote Minji Kim, your #1 bitch." Tears welled in my eyes. I clasped my hand over my mouth and ran off the stage into the empty halls. "Minji, wait up!" Ji-hoon called behind me. "Go away!" I yelled, walking faster. "Minji, I'm so sorry," he said quietly. I spun around, stepping right into his face. "You! I knew it was you! You lying, dirty pig!" He cut me off by crashing his lips onto mine, shoving me against the wall. It left me completely breathless. He pulled away slightly, looking into my eyes. "Minji, it wasn't me. I wouldn't hurt you." Dazed, I nodded. I grabbed his neck, pulled him back close, and our lips reconnected. His hands traveled to my waist, pulling my body tightly against his. When I finally pulled away, breathing heavily, he leaned in and whispered huskily against my ear, "I love this skirt on you." I blushed sheepishly. "Thank you. I'll see you later for tutoring, right?" he smirked. I nodded, and he walked away. I called my dad to let me leave school early. Once home, I turned on some music to dance away the stress, belting out the lyrics in the kitchen. "Nice moves, babe." I jumped backward. "Ji-hoon? How did you get in my house?" I asked, turning off the music. "I was sick of school, and your door was unlocked," he grinned, his expression sweet and seductive all at once. "Now, I believe we have some studying to do. Shall we?" I led him upstairs to my lavender room, butterflies going wild in my stomach. As I bent over to look through my bag for my math folder, I noticed him standing in the doorway, just staring at me. "Can I help you?" I asked, standing up with a hand on my hip. He stumbled backward, stammering out an excuse while I chuckled. Then, I heard him let out a low laugh. Minji. This yours?" He was holding a bright pink bra off the ground. My face immediately flushed red. I ripped it out of his hands and stuffed it into a random drawer. "No, I lied." "You're a horrible liar, Minji," he laughed, sitting on my bed. We sat down and started working on algebra problems, his presence closer than usual. After a while, I stood up. "Try these 5 problems, and I'll check them. I'm going to get out of my good clothes." I grabbed a pair of sweatpants and an old shirt and headed to the bathroom. Just as I took off my blouse, the door opened. Ji-hoon stood in the doorway, amusement in his eyes. "Ji-hoon! Get out of here!" I cried, trying to cover my chest. He walked right in, ripped the shirt from my hands, and tossed it to the ground. Pinning my wrists above my head against the wall, he kissed me passionately. I felt completely exposed, but the way his eyes widened made my insecurities vanish. He connected his lips to my neck, sending a soft moan from my lips, before tracing a trail of kisses back up to my jawline. He released my wrists, letting them fall around his neck as his hands traveled up and down my sides. "Ji-hoon, wait," I whispered, stopping him. Concern filled his eyes. "Is everything okay?" "Yes, it's just, I'm not experienced with this stuff," I confessed, keeping my head down. He lifted my chin and planted a soft kiss on my lips. "You're so adorable. Let's get you dressed. Turn around." He unzipped my skirt, slid it down, and handed me my sweats. We studied for a few more hours, punctuated by stolen kisses. By 5 o'clock, he left. At 7:14 p.m., I was sitting at my desk, completely unable to concentrate on my homework. I checked my phone for the 20th time, still no new messages. Dropping my pen, I decided to take a break and run a warm bubble bath to relax. I sank into the bubbles, letting the warmth wash over me. But just as I began to settle in, my phone rang from the bedroom. My eyes shot open. "Ji-hoon." I threw a towel around my dripping wet body and hurriedly answered. "Hey," I said, trying to sound as casual as possible. "Hey. Everything okay?" "You sound out of breath," he chuckled. "Everything's fine," I lied, mentally facepalming. "What's up?" Well, I was wondering if you wanted to hang out tomorrow after school. I smiled, but instantly frowned. I would, but I have a Mathletes meet. I'm sorry. I was honestly hurt. I knew we needed to talk about us. Oh, that's fine. I'll talk to you later. And with that, he hung up before I could even say goodbye. Upset, I tossed my phone down and slumped back into the tub. He definitely has a lot of explaining to do. The warm bath didn't soothe me, it only gave my mind more time to race. By the time I climbed out and pulled on an oversized hoodie, I was no longer sad, I was furious. I'll talk to you later, he had said, so casually, right after turning my world upside down. No. Not this time. I wasn't going to sit around checking my screen for the 21st time. The next morning at school, the atmosphere was suffocating. People whispered as I walked past, but I kept my chin up, refusing to let them see me break. I didn't care about the election anymore. I cared about the boy who had completely disrupted my perfectly ordered life. I skipped the cafeteria at lunch and went straight to the one place I knew he'd be when he wanted to avoid the crowds, the old bleachers behind the tennis courts. Sure enough, there he was, spinning a lacrosse ball in his hands, staring blankly at the grass. You hang up fast when you're hiding something, I said, my voice cutting through the quiet afternoon air. Ji-hoon jumped, nearly dropping the ball. He looked up, and for the first time since I'd known him, the cocky, untouchable Ji-hoon Park looked completely vulnerable. Minji, he breathed, standing up. I thought you had Mathletes prep. I walked out, I stated, crossing my arms. Because someone told me yesterday that I worry too much and that I need to do something for myself. So here I am. Doing something for me. I need answers, Ji-hoon. He sighed, running a hand through his brown hair, dropping the lacrosse ball onto the grass. I wasn't hiding anything on the phone. I was just spiraling. Minji, after I left your house, reality hit me. I've spent years being the guy who tears you down because it was easier than admitting how much I actually cared about you. Then yesterday happened, and seeing Minji treat you like that, it made me realize my friends are garbage, and I've been a coward. He took a step down from the bleachers, closing the distance between us until I had to tilt my head up to look into those deep blue eyes. I hung up because I didn't want to hold you back, he whispered, his voice cracking slightly. You're the honor roll student with a perfect future, and I'm the guy failing algebra. I didn't want to drag you down into my mess. My heart did a violent flip in my chest. All the anger evaporated, replaced by a warmth that spread all the way to my fingertips. I reached out, my hands finding the lapels of his jacket. You're an imbecile, Ji-hoon Park, I said, a small, tearful smile breaking across my face. Did you really think a fake picture or a school reputation would make me walk away? I'm an overachiever, remember? I don't give up on things that matter. Do I matter to you? He asked, a hint of that familiar, beautiful smirk returning to his lips. You're terrible for my tight schedule, I laughed softly. But yes. You matter. Ji-hoon didn't wait for another word. He reached down, wrapping his arms securely around my waist, and lifted me slightly as his lips met mine. This kiss wasn't frantic or rushed like the one in the hallway, it was slow, deep, and full of a promise that neither of us was going anywhere. The autumn wind brushed against us, but wrapped in his arms, I had never felt warmer. When he finally pulled away, he kept his forehead rested against mine, both of us breathing softly. So, he whispered cheekily, his blue eyes sparkling. Does this mean you're still going to tutor me on Friday? I rolled my eyes, letting out a pure, happy laugh. Only if you promise to actually look at the book this time, Park. Deal, he smiled, kissing my forehead gently. For the first time in my life, I didn't have a plan, a schedule, or a checklist for what came next. And as we walked back toward the school, my hand tightly enclosed in his, I realized I was perfectly okay with that. Please like, share and subscribe for more.